viewers, my name is Adam.
I'm Aaron.
This is Seeking Media Productions bring you another movie review.
So we went out and we saw M3GAN.
M3GAN is the first major film to be released in 2023.
In January.
The barren wasteland of the film industry, at least in Hollywood, is concerned.
And it's almost usually the case. I mean, nothing really good comes out during this month, and if only for the mere fact that most people don't, more studios are not necessarily as adventurous, laying out big budgeted, action packed or.
It's usually just that leftover space.
So in that respect, it's not necessarily there wasn't a lot going on for the phenomenon that turns out to be M3GAN is truly gearing up for.
Yeah, M3GAN had one of the most very of what seems to be very celebrated marketing campaigns upon its release.
That dance probably put more seats than anything else.
Yeah, it's basically the social media sensation that that trailer that brought out is another case in which if you have a very popular dance number in your film or TV show for that matter, you're going to be most likely be very popular comes upon release. From Joker, this emo Spider-Man, it's Pennywise.
So it's almost a tried
Wednesday.
and true. Yeah, Wednesday. So it's almost like a tried and true equation.
So however, we're on to you, and it's going to take a lot more of that to actually impress us now.
So let's go into the movie.
The killer doll genre looks like it has a new icon in the form of M3GAN. The story revolving around this film is very unlike most horror films are usually this in it for the slasher gets away. It's basically the marketing line. The movie is benefited with a very tightly written script.
Yeah, that really focuses on the aunt of this movie and her niece that she has to take care of after a horrific accident took the niece's parents away from her.
Yeah, the film has a interesting commentary with how modern parenting is being discussed or at least practiced in this new age of technology. And what M3GAN does is it has very at times very striking and as well as very aggressive approach to how parents are actually being neglectful when it comes to actually nurturing their young.
In a day and age where most parents can literally just sit their children down with a screen and just leave them alone while they go off and do their own stuff, this movie really does take a spotlight towards that concept. Is that the wisest decision to allow something that's not even human to do most of the parenting and the connective aspects of development with your children?
Yes, and you have this a great exploration in the consumerism, or the consumer world of trying to one-up each other, the need to always advance your own career and stuff, but you're doing that with the detriment of the important social life that is also important in one's existence.
It goes back to that tried and true statement that was introduced in Jurassic Park. Just because you can do something, you don't sit back and you actually think about whether or not you should.
Yeah. The characters in this film, the aunt character played by Allison Williams, who most people really know from Get Out. She played the character of Gemma. She is a career-driven character who clearly does not listen to the no people in her life.
Or at least doesn't have enough of them to actually sit there to actually pull her aside and say, you know what, maybe we do need to do a retake on this.
It's much of the film is all on her fault.
Well, her and her team's fault, I would say. It's quite a few people that get the blame for why things end up happening in this film, but yeah, she does get the whole bulk of it.
The young actress Violet McGraw, who plays her young niece, who she reluctantly takes in her care She, ooh, talk about the modern day equivalent of child behavior on display is really is like really has not a nuance with both the anxiety that will come with raising a child, but also the sympathy that comes with a girl who is essentially an orphan by the beginning of this film.
Mm-hmm.
And both these actresses do a nice, good job of highlighting the difficult nature of modern parenting, which is also made with throwing with the wrench with the addition of M3GAN, who dynamic between these three characters alone is what is the real beating heart of the story here.
Yeah. Originally, M3GAN, who is designed by Gemma, I'm sorry, as a prototype basically a prototype toy, ends up becoming her niece's, whose name is Katie, essential caregiver for all intents purposes.
Yeah, and much of the a lot of the horrific events that take place over the course of the film is primarily from the programming nature of M3GAN being as a protective caregiving person in various different ways.
But then you also see throughout the film a change in that development of the concept of her initial programming. It's not necessarily a situation where she's only thinking about doing what her program is saying, that she has to protect this little girl, but also as she's developing as a AI naturally would, a self realized entity.
So it's another wrench of AI, the do's and do nots of actually creating it.
We have seen so many films, so many television series, read books that talk about this concept. And it's very interesting, with all these particular mediums and outings and journeys that has to talk about this particular story, that you have these characters that develop these artificial intelligences, and they continuously neglect to understand the severity and the dangers that comes with that.
Mm-hmm. And when we say about Gemma's character not listening to her no people, particularly this whole thing, basically the whole movie would not have existed if she actually listened to her boss, played by Ronnie Chang, who
I'm sorry, it's going to go down in history as one of the most relatable and probably most understanding of bosses, even with his particular attitudes, because he's not asking for that much.
No, he's like with all the loud mouths or very aggressive boss-like characters in film, his character comes off as very reasonable in his what he asked for.
And that's where the character Gemma comes into play with M3GAN. It's like, okay, yes, we have these who works as this toy company. You have these new products out here that you already are on the edge for, but you have your competitors who are trying to copy your designs and whatnot. You gotta innovate, and that's where this character comes into play. But the problem is, you didn't necessarily think about the ramifications will come with this particular new type of technology.
Let's talk about production here. M3GAN is a dual performance.
Yeah, it's a dual performance, but it's multi-layered. There's multiple aspects that went into bringing this particular character to life. But I feel as though the most crucial aspect to why this character worked had to do with the actress that does a lot of the portrayal of her physical performance.
It's the actresses.
Yes.
You have the young girl who is played by Annie Darnold. She does the physical performances of M3GAN.
And she does an outstanding job doing it.
And you have Jenna Davis, who does the voice work.
Ooh. This has just... She really did make this character not only just sassy, but with a hint of malice, and also
it has a cold exterior to her delivery that is it will instantly chill you, but also haunt you and really delight you all at the same time. As mentioned before, with that, it's very nuanced script. That's more nuanced script than most horror films that are produced, and it's mainly thanks to the screenwriter of Akela Cooper.
Mm-hmm.
She also written James Wan's other produced, but he directed the movie *Malignant*.
Mm-hmm.
There's a thread, like a thread of that familiarity with that, but this is his own very thing because, as a matter of fact, it's part of the Killer Doll horror genre.
Mm-hmm.
I like, for most of the strengths from this movie, I would like to give her thanks to that as well as the performance here. Where I feel as though where the film falls, it lessens a bit is made from the direction, because so much of the film is like the director played by who was Gerard Johnstone. He doesn't really do enough to elevate the script beyond its surface level depictions. Maybe because, as a matter of fact, the film's marketing is somewhat played as a horror comedy of some sorts. Maybe it's a satire for one thing, but so much of the humor is like, it's very subjective. So take my personal opinions as you will. Feels as though it feels flat in some regards, and now in the mere fact that we know that from marketing this film, it was originally an R-rated movie.
Which is, I would say, this is where my particular idea actually come into play. Just because a horror film may be rated R or may be rated PG-13 doesn't necessarily mean that there is a quality just because that concept. There are plenty of outstanding R-rated R horror flicks, as there are quite a few good PG-13 films. Not everything has to be filled with a whole bunch of gore, blood, and mayhem in order to survive. But there does need to be a level of sophistication that comes with it, and a little bit more creativity in the angle of a PG-13 film to be able to stand on the same toes and platforms that a lot of the great rated R horror films exist.
Yes, because even though that you decided to tone it back down for obvious marketing purposes to get as big of an audience as possible, like the creativities in the menace that could have been done in this film, what is done is what is shown here has been shown in other movies, and to me it was done more effectively in a lot of those cases. But the commentary and satire alone helps make this film more the solid and original film that it is.
And it's going to probably help or hinder this movie as it goes on, because it's obviously going to end up probably becoming another of the great horror franchises, because this film is doing well.
But until those sequels come to play, M3GAN by itself, I'm going to say that for me personally, is a good movie. It's a solid start. It's obviously shown that this film has been marketed so it can get as much big of an audience as possible. But so a lot of the things could have been done to help elevate it a lot more.
For me, I find myself on a teeter area. On one hand, I can definitely see there are flaws in this film. But at the same time, I also see the film for what it was and what it actually already presented. And there are still plenty enough great aspects that comes with this film for me to be able to call it a great film in and of itself. I definitely hope that as it goes forward, it will take to heart a lot of the criticisms that may come from it. And hopefully, in the sequel series, and fingers crossed, if it actually gets put on the ground, they will take those criticisms to heart and actually implement them to make it even better. But for what it is and what it's worth, that's where I fall at.
And also, don't make it as predictable as it comes out, because this movie is telegraphed from the very beginning exactly how it will play out. Which doesn't hurt when the first trailer basically shows off all the good stuff in the movie.
So, as it is, that's where we're at. You either see it as it's good or it's great. But we want to hear from you. How did you guys find it? Did you get to watch M3GAN yet? Are you planning on watching it at all? Please let us know. And please hit the bell down there at the bottom for notifications. We want to hear from you and give you even more of the great stuff that's here on the channel.
My name is Adam.
And I am Aaron.
Please be sure to look at our other social media outlets of Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram for the content that we don't actually post on the YouTube channel.
Because there's not enough time in the day to do it all.
And Happy New Year.
Yep. Happy New Year. We made it, y'all. And hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll be even better this time.
Yeah. See you.
See you.